Well, hello there. My name is Ren, and today we're talking about the recent disaster at Grand Canyon National Park, the Dragon Bravo fire. The Dragon Bravo fire was a lightning-sparked wildfire located on the north rim of the Grand Canyon. It was started on July 4th and over 3 months grew to be the largest Arizona wildfire of the year, burning over 145,000 acres. While large fires are becoming more common in the Southwest, this particular fire gained traction in the news for its proximity to the canyon and the destruction of many structures on the rim, including the historic North Rim Lodge. We all know that out-of-control wildfires are bad. They of course burn through all available fuel, usually plants, which destroys forest and scrubland ecosystems and deprives wildlife of critical habitat. The loss of foliage also causes soil erosion, especially on hillsides, because there are no longer living roots to hold the ground in place. Wildfires also damage infrastructure, burning structures and blocking roads, and the smoke and gases cause health concerns, with winds spreading smoke across a large area, impacting air quality for miles. But small fires can be essential for healthy forests, renewing soil nutrients and preventing severe overgrowth. So why do we get so many large devastating fires? We can't talk about wildfires without the history of fire and fire suppression in the United States. The rise of fire suppression policies came at the beginning of the 20th century after a series of devastating fires in 1910 across Montana, Idaho, and Washington burned over 3 million acres in 2 days. One of the key policies at the time was the 10 a.m. rule, which stated that all wildfires must be put out by 10 a.m. the morning after they were reported. However, decades of unrelenting fire suppression actually harmed our forests. Since no fires were allowed to burn, forests became overgrown, depleting the soil of nutrients and creating the perfect conditions for more intense fires that burn everything. And with depleted soil and complete removal of vegetation, soil erosion is much worse and forests take much longer to recover. The image here is the very first poster of Smokey Bear, the leading mascot for wildfire suppression and prevention starting in 1944. And although the complete fire suppression policies were harmful, Smokey remains a symbol for taking care of the wilderness and being mindful when interacting with nature. Besides its nearly 2-billion-year-old geologic history, the Grand Canyon has been part of human history for upwards of 25,000 years, with many groups of Native Americans, including the Hualapai and Havasupai, making the canyon their home. John Wesley Powell is well known for exploring the canyon in the first European-led expedition down the Colorado River in 1869. Mules have been used as pack animals and transportation in the Grand Canyon ever since the 1880s, with the most famous being Bridie of the Grand Canyon. Though tourism has been going on since the late 1800s, the national park itself was not established until 1919, and the first North Rim Lodge was completed in 1928. Because of its size and depth, the Grand Canyon has a unique distribution of ecosystems within a relatively small horizontal area. Each layer of the canyon hosts its own climate, ecosystem, and wildlife. Temperatures rise the deeper you go, with the climate at the river being about the same as it is in Phoenix. This same river is the most important water source in the Southwest, providing waters to 7 states. The Grand Canyon is one of the most iconic and breathtaking national parks. It's a great bastion of wilderness, natural and historical value, and a constant reminder of the natural beauty and our connection to the earth. And nothing better represents our obligation to take care of the land than national parks like this one. One such story of environmental success is that of the California condor, a resident of the Grand Canyon and the largest flighted bird in North America. It is an endangered scavenger that nearly went extinct in the 1980s, with just over 20 individuals remaining. But thanks to the breeding program started by the Peregrine Fund, there are now over 500. The condor on the left here is named Marble, and she lives permanently at Liberty Wildlife in Phoenix, as she has a wing injury that makes her non-releasable. The Grand Canyon has been threatened in the past, not by fire, but by humans. Marble Dam was a proposed project that would turn the canyon into a reservoir and slow river flow to 1,000 cubic feet per second, essentially killing the river and damaging the ecosystems that relied on it. However, the Sierra Club fought the dam by bringing the issue to national attention with their advertisements, and after much public outcry, the project was abandoned in 1968. Fire has always been a concern at the Grand Canyon, as it is in any wilderness area, and fire watch systems are in place to make sure any problematic fires are addressed as quickly as possible. But small fires do happen. In fact, I remember while watching a sunrise, I saw a lightning strike start a small fire in the canyon, which was soon put out by rain. And the Dragon Bravo fire is not the first disaster on the North Rim, as the original lodge burned down in 1932. The Dragon Bravo fire was started by lightning pretty close to the developed area around the North Kaibab trailhead. It burned over 100 structures, including the lodge, visitor center, and water treatment plant. It cut off Highway 67, the main route into the park, and smoke from the fire quickly settled into the canyon. All visitors were immediately evacuated from the North Rim. But the inner canyon also had to be evacuated due to a release of toxic chlorine gas from the damaged water treatment plant settling into the canyon along with the smoke. The typical disaster management cycle is split into 4 phases: mitigation, preparedness, response, and recovery. And at this point, we are in the response phase. After the smoke cleared, the historic North Rim Lodge was mostly destroyed, though much of the original masonry, which had also survived the first fire, was still intact. The bronze statue of Bridie was partially melted, and 113 structures were damaged, many of them being the small cabins used to house visitors. Here's some other cool pictures I found of the fire. We've got the lodge on fire, smoke in the canyon around sunset, and the actual fire in the surrounding forest. The Dragon Bravo fire burned 145,504 acres over almost 3 months. It started in July and reached about 50% containment in mid-August, with a peak of over 1,200 personnel fighting the fire and a cost of over $124 million. The fire was declared 100% contained on September 29th, and to the right here is the final map of the fire's boundaries. Disasters at national parks have happened before. In June 2022, massive floods hit Yellowstone National Park, damaging roads, trails, buildings, and the park's ecosystems. The first priority in a disaster like this is safety. Once everyone is out of danger, we can begin to rebuild and make sure we prepare for future incidents. Although flooding is a much different event than fire, the disaster management strategies are similar. For recovery at the Grand Canyon, the lodge and other structures will be rebuilt, the Bridie statue will be repaired, and trails will be cleared of rock slides. The park is already reopening some areas affected by the fire, though rebuilding much of the infrastructure will take a bit longer. However, it will face challenges. Though they receive government funding, national park revenue is supplemented by visitors, and now more than ever, funding is a challenge, as the current administration denies environmental needs and seeks to privatize public lands. The Big Beautiful Bill cut $267 million in funding for national parks, and the ongoing government shutdown will cause national parks to lose staff or close, leaving them vulnerable to vandalism and littering. So what can you do to help? Learning and teaching others about national parks and environmental history is a great place to start. Junior Ranger programs are great for kids and help teach them to care for the environment. Visiting and donating where you can helps keep parks running, and keeping the parks clean when you visit helps preserve the natural spaces. You can also take action by signing petitions to protect public lands. National parks are some of the most special places in the United States and are critical for understanding the land, its history, and our relationship with the natural world. So we must do our best to protect these spaces, be it from disasters or from ourselves.